So I was looking back at some of the videos that were done back in different places,
Hmm.
and I noticed that there was much more of a difference, and then a hell of a contrast when coming here. Really, don't know if you've noticed that.
Yeah,
I was showing you some earlier of all
yeah,
of
you did.
uh, the things that were being built at the time. Um, haven't had a chance to show off any new stuff just as of yet. I say show off. I like these things to be around me, much like I'm sure the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, would like to be inside the pyramids from time to time, and not just in death. I'm pretty sure it was quite the thing to be around and be
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah.
So, not saying that external uh, validation, I suppose, comes from your things, is materialistic, but mind you, physical being in a physical existence, let's say, or external. The body is external, the spirit is internal, let's say. If you want to say spirit, I don't know if you do want to say spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And have you heard? I was talking about this earlier, and probably I've been thinking about it for a best part of a few days. I've been very inward these last few days, which is I'm not complaining about it. It's just been very inward introspection before I come out into the outer world. Um, do you hear about people talking about Lemurium? I don't even know. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it right. And why is it that when you see, I have it in a very weird way, right? You've got to be
Mm-hmm.
very careful. This world is fucking manipulative as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, no matter where you go, what organization it may be, where you go, it's manipulation after manipulation. You might as well just say the human experience is a layer of manipulation on top of manipulation on top of manipulation. My word, it's so manipulative,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that I don't know where you start and that person finishes.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a
Yeah.
bisexual starfish wheel. Right? Yeah, it is like that, right? And some are very big and some are very small. But it is. It just seems that it's very manipulative, and also this whole thing factor with control as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't control someone. You can't control someone. You can't control. My word, where do you draw the line between what control is and what isn't? Like, if you were to get married, isn't then the marriage or the registration office or the church or even if it is to just two people come together, I mean, in different cultures, it's different things. Ceremony,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
technically, is what it is, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, and do you even know where this comes from in itself?
No.
Back in the day,
No.
there were ritualistic ceremonies that took place,
Mm-hmm.
but it was more than what it is today. Today, it seems more. Not complaining and not saying that whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't even know. That's not a question I've asked myself just yet. Do you get what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But all these different levels of control, when everything is control, you're
Yeah.
controlled by the weather,
Yeah.
you're controlled by space,
Mm-hmm.
you're controlled by a higher force. So everything is control
Mm-hmm.
in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and yet it's not okay to control. But it's okay for certain organizations, or we dub it government, for whichever reason. And I'm not saying that this is right nor wrong, and I'm not saying that it's correct or not. It's just weird how many layers of control there actually is. Um, and they'll say, well, we let anybody do anything, but when they do something in a certain way, we will then act, which is control. Prison, if it becomes a rehabilitation service as opposed to a money pit,
Yeah.
then there would be level of control there, wouldn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just off in some stuff that I've, just leaving in the background sort of thing. It goes around. And then, as a parent, what is control? As a partner, what's control? And then, is it about that we've become so lost as a civilization that we don't have any self control? And as opposed to saying that controlling is wrong nor right. So, a parent that wants their child to do best by what they believe is best,
Yeah.
how do you achieve that objective?
Well, you have to. I don't know.
A child that is
You
doing
have to
something that
tell
is wrong
child.
inside a classroom that is
Yeah.
then sent out, let's say.
Mm.
I mean, I think that there is control on things that are Yeah, I can see it, that there are things that we would say as a society that would control would be wrong.
Yeah.
But if a teacher sends someone out for talking, what is that? What is a teacher, she or he, wanting from that pupil?
To be quiet.
Right. And if
Yeah.
the child doesn't want to be quiet,
Then they send them out.
then they send them out. So what is that?
It's a form of control.
So it's a
isn't
form of control,
it?
which is very interesting. So that's a very fundamentally interesting thing to me, that there's direct control and then there's indirect control.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at certain relationships where some individuals will say it's controlling behavior. And then I look at that and think, what is being said here without being said? That there's no self-control, the lack of self-control in cheating and doing different things like that, where, well, if you want to class it down that road or different things like that, that would be a form of control would be there. Or there would be the lack of control, which then just talks more division, doesn't it? And then are people educated on how to be loyal to one another? And then what's war? The fundamental definition of what war is.
I don't think there's one definition in the same family, so there might be some disagreements coming. Some values might be that you do not come to in the beginning. Some values might be like different. And then children have to learn from their parents what is expected from them to be right. And somewhere else on the planet, it's wrong. And
Okay,
it's
so with so many, right, that's a interesting point that you made there, and I like it, but I'm also going to shut it down, because I have to shut this down in myself, right? And I'm not saying it's a bad way of thinking. I'm going to just throw another way of looking at that. So what happens if you have 10 families? So the idea that you just said then was one shoe fits all. If you think about it. So what about if you have 10 different families who have a complete different way? One puts in rule in, one doesn't, another one sort of does, one does, but it's completely different to these, and one does from over there.
Yeah.
How do you get all of the people then to agree on something in that aspect without controlling? What is war? What is war?
War like war conflict or
Any type of war. The whole British Empire has been built on control. Not slating it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That is control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not? Am I, so if we take back from history in the immediate time, Germany had an idea, a certain way to go, whether right nor wrong. Britain had an idea, whether right nor wrong. Who's correct? And then what was that war over? Both sides saying that my way is correct and it will be done, and this one saying no, this way will not be done.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line there is control.
Yeah.
Then that breaks down into control of conscription, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Forcing people to go and do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's okay to arm someone up with a weapon and tell them to go and point it over there. And that's okay control, but it's not okay control to convince or persuade a lover not to cheat. Yeah, I think. What else is there? What else is there? I don't know. I was watching a few group of friends whilst growing up, and certain situations have led me down this road as well.
Yeah.
Versus control versus control. Control is a very strange thing, and then you hear people saying that you must let go of the need to control. How does the human species let go of a need to control? Your body is in control of you. It's in control of when you eat, when you feel hungry. It says to you, you're not in control of it. But humans love to believe that they are so in control of everything. They're not. Are you in control of when you're born? You'll hear people now in the new age saying that we all had these soul contracts. No. And another way of control as well is this thing about Lemuria. Now, when we hear things, we're often told in scripture or different things like that, and that's based on somebody else's interpretation of what they think. And then it's a large amount of people that have agreed on this. Doesn't mean that it's correct.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's true, and it doesn't make it right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we'll hear it, and they'll say that it's because you come from a past planet. You're remembering the old way of Lemuria. Well, that's not a form of control. You're seeing something in your mind, and I'm going to tell you what that is you're seeing.
Yeah. Yeah, I see.
And then, what will you never do? You'll never critically think it, will you? You won't ask questions. You won't search deeper. You will just accept that.
Yeah, people quite often accept.
Because you're told.
Yeah.
You're controlled.
Mainstream of their beliefs or whatever.
Yeah.
Mainstream in their country. Some people have less mainstream, some people more, but there is always some influence from somewhere else. Before they were here, before they were born, somebody else was there who has influence.
So, controlling the extremes of things. So we talk relationship, not okay. Conscription, weaponized war. I mean, some days I sit back and I think to myself that I can't believe how educated people claim to be. And yet, within this whole understanding of being educated, yes?
Yeah.
They all go around acting like it's okay. It's so normalized. War is so fucking normalized. It's so normal. Everyone is walking around like it is fucking normal. Like it is. It's so. It makes me think. Right. Another thing is.
Yeah.
Is this stuff tobacco? Right.
Yeah.
How normal this is. Suicide not okay, but slow form of suicide is okay.
Yeah.
And then when we look at marijuana, it's never killed anybody.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
It's not allowed. Yeah.
And then we talk about control again. So why not make the species completely drunk then, so that they're all out of control?
Oh yeah.
Because that's what
That's
we would
allowed
say
as well,
control,
isn't
yeah?
it? Alcohol is allowed.
Well, that's a lack of control then, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Not everyone, but for the wider majority. And it's all about the majority, and smoking perhaps doesn't harm everybody, but the large amount of majority of people. I mean, hypocrite. I am such a hypocrite, and I am, because yes, I do smoke. I wax and wean on this, actually. I've been on, off, on, off, on, off. Now and then. I like to have a little bit of tobacco now and then.
Yeah.
I really do. I'm a bit like Einstein in that one. But it's such a hypocrite, isn't it? Really, we are hypocrites. But well, I don't know. If hemp was more around, marijuana was more around, I'd smoke that any day over this shit. But that's not about. Therefore, from tribal roots that go on and on and on through your past, they would have been more smoking that than they would have done this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they would have. They may have come across this stuff, but I don't think it would have been smoked.
Oh, wasn't tobacco smoked in northern, maybe in both Americas, but for some ritual only, like over fire when
Around a fire.
yeah,
But I don't
when
know
the
if it was
people
tobacco.
met and talked about something, they would smoke the pipe of peace or something like that. It was called. I don't know how it would be called in English, but
Yeah, I think it would have been more hemp, or they would have been waiting for the hemp to come about. Honestly, I think it's got more relation to hemp than it has anything else. And the THC content.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a spiritual feeling, sacredness. Yeah. I can, but tobacco, I'm not sure. And then ingredients that get added into it. An addiction. Who's in control of what here? And I say, oh, it's all in your mind. It's a belief. It's a belief. That works for me up to a point. But what about animals?
What about animals?
Well, you can give them a tablet, right? A chalk tablet versus a tablet that is the real deal.
Hmm.
Do you think it would work, the placebo effect?
No,
Do you think the placebo effect is going to work on an animal?
no,
So is it truly working in humans?
probably not. But you give animals tablet.
So what about if we trick a tree? We're going to feed it some water that technically isn't water. It should be able to stay alive because it believes it, right? We're going to feed it nutrition. We're going to remove all the nutrition out of the water and the ground, and we're going to trick it. We're going to make it look like soil, act like soil, but technically it isn't soil. We're going to make this stuff look like rain, act like rain, but it isn't. But the tree won't know the difference because of the placebo effect.
Well, it will not work, will it?
That's interesting then.
It's like the animals when at one point there was some plastic added to some food powder to make it heavier because it was cheap. Well, animals ate it because there was also meat in it, but they died.
Why do you think certain drugs are outlawed? For this particular reason that you're talking about now.
Yeah.
And food companies, you know, CEOs, this is why I often ask the question of when going to space, doesn't there need to be a universal law? United Nations come together and start making this united law that everyone abides by it. And if not, there are some very severe consequences that accompany it. Right? When we look at criminal activity, we got to look at it across the board. We can't just look at it at one particular stereotypical group and then stereotype these people as being the ones that are bad. You know, because what's happening right now is people are moving away from trusting most of this other stuff. You can see it's booming around the place, right? Pharmaceutical companies and different things like that. Do you ever wonder why there's such a big black hole in hesitancy to different types of pharmaceuticals? Do you know why people are less and less likely to take it these days?
Yeah, because they see the effects on some other
Is it that they
people.
see the effects? Or is it that we've labelled criminality in individuals that would sell you drugs on the street, let's say, might go and mix it with a bit of brick dust? True story, very sad true story. Might go and mix it down with brick dust to make it a bit more heavier, a bit more bulkier.
Yeah.
Some people might lace some things in some not so very nice stuff, and then you don't know what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's like with the animals, isn't it? Make
Animals?
it bulky. Yeah, this
Yeah.
example.
Anything
that's
else that you've
similar.
got an example of that from? What about some of these chemicals inside all the products that you've got? Beauty products, from food products, from e-numbers, from chemicals that no one has any idea. And then it's like, who has control over this? No one.
No one. Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
No one. But that, over there, these types of individuals over here who are off the street, that would be known as drug dealers, whether you agree or you don't agree, this is just merely for an educational type understanding. It opens the mind a little bit. This is why you notice that there are less people dying of this, but there are more people dying of this. Weird and wonderful cancers go about.
Yeah.
And then the people that choose not to eat that food, choose not to eat this sort of stuff, and they're taking this stuff, and they're living longer than people that are taking this stuff that is meant to help.
Yeah.
And, you know, shadow ban this, cover it up, because it doesn't really matter, really. You're doing a fantastic job of it yourselves. And then the lack of control, and they don't listen even if there was anything put into place, because that's what it seems like comes out. You know, I often say this, if I had a government, if I had an opportunity in anywhere running this fucking country in any way, shape, nor form, I would try and do some venturing down in that. It would be so different. There would be none of this shit going down. Because the greater effects that's happening is having an impact across society where people are no longer trusting things anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what? This is going to collapse the entirety of the empire. Who are you going to sell this shit to? I once heard a tobacco company when I was a kid, right? Do you know what they said? We don't smoke the shit. We're not stupid enough. We just sell it. Do you know that I will never forget that as being educated in school, that we don't smoke the shit. We're not stupid enough. We just sell it. I mean, and this is educated to all, and we're all looking at each other, and break time was erring, and for weeks after was erring with an air of conversation about this. That is interesting. And then we were taught that they put the chemicals into it. I mean, and you could say, well, we could ban it. It's too late for that. Stable door, horse bolt. It's too late to go and lock the stable afterwards. And it's not just that. It's now with foods. It's not just with foods. It's with cosmetics.
Yeah.
It's not just with that. It's water. It's this. It's that. Now we're figuring out that it's the environment. Now we're figuring out there's bits of plastic in things. Now we're figuring out that there's chemicals in things. Now we're figuring out that there is a shit ton of horrible substances inside cheap food. We're slowly but surely beginning to figure it out. And you wonder why people do not trust. And no, this has not got anything to do with a placebo effect or anything else like that. Oh, you can eat this food, but if you believe that it's healthy, guess what? It will become health. Man, please. So then if someone believes that smoking tobacco won't cause any of these horrible symptoms, then why do you feel the need to write it on the packet?
Yeah.
Unless this is a placebo effect right here. You're writing this down to trick people into believing that they're going to get cancers. So which is a placebo effect?
Yeah.
So then with that logic, then people believe that drugs on the streets are far more healthier than drugs taken from over a counter. I mean, what kind of a society are we living in? Is this, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
It doesn't work when you say ET.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work when you say universal source. Actually, it kind of does. It's got a nice ring to it. I like that. Might throw that away for later. Anyway, from a universal standpoint, yeah, looking in at this shit show, what would you think? I mean, what questions would you be able to... Do you find Earth being quite a toxic place to be?
Yeah, I do.
Earth naturally, not toxic, but Earth in human control then?
Yeah.
Or the lack of control?
Yeah.
But if it's lack of control, then what the fuck are we all doing here? What are we all doing this shit for then? Paying all of these institutions and everything else? For what? To be Wild West?
Wild West was better.
Well,
It had freedom, even though crazy. There's no freedom. Everything is regulated by some institution that allows this, and that. That is not good for anyone.
so we look back at the past gangsters, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to look at this because this is a fascinating one. We were talking about this earlier. It's even Littlin has got this understanding of it, but so we're looking at Las Vegas as one of them, and the speakeasies. Yeah. So back in the day, everyone gave thugs a bad name, right?
Yeah.
Or gangsters in that term a bad name, which could this just be nothing more than propaganda? I'm sure that everyone has a limit that you push them enough and you're going to see a not so a great side come out. Some people have got more patience than other people. It doesn't mean that anyone else is as less ruthless as anybody else or even more ruthless than some others, okay? I think that everyone has got a fucking limit, okay? And groups of individuals have a limit on what you can push. Now, this is true, and then you've got some individuals who might pretend to be like these groups over here, and then this group is then tarnished with this group in order to give this group a bad name so that the whole lot gets shut down. Because there could be something that would come about off of this. So we look at Al Capone and different things like that, yes? It's just to name a few, okay? If it wasn't for some of these, I don't know what you call yourself, thugs, gangsters, whatever, would you have Las Vegas?
No.
The most popular world destination on the planet
Yeah.
was created, in my understanding, and most other people's understanding, and when you get talking, some people jump straight to it that thugs are really bad and this, that, and the other, and blood money, rah. When that is, where do you get that belief from? Well, look at the paper here. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Well, yeah, that's propaganda. Not every single one is acting that way. I'm sure they've got a limit, and I'm sure that they've got things to protect.
Yeah.
You could say then the same thing about a government. Then they've got military. Look at these thugs.
Yeah.
uniformed, right? So it's exactly the same thing, right? But when it comes down to this, and my understanding of it is, if you want to gamble and you want to drink, here's a piece of fucking desert. They'll never be able to do anything with that. No one's ever going to go there. And it's that true tenacity, isn't it? They didn't give up, they didn't quit, and they kept going and going and going. And slowly but surely, it seems to be one of the most popularist fucking tourist destinations on the planet.
It's the capital of gambling of the planet, isn't it?
Yeah, so you ask most people, 1 in 5, I think it is here, where would you like to go? Las Vegas is on one of the lists.
Yeah, and if you ask America, name me some most famous cities there, that's one of them, isn't it?
It is.
Like probably with New York and Los Angeles, Las Vegas.
And these don't strike me as individuals, and I'm not speaking for anybody, I don't know anybody that's there, but from an outside perspective looking into this, these individuals look like they wanted to have a good time, make money, yeah, and you know, I think the agenda is to make some money. It was like a business that was very not so legitimized, let's say, in the beginning. I think gambling was very strict gambling laws, and then there was very strict alcohol consumption laws.
Yeah.
Very strict on different things like that. So could you imagine if a new era had come out of this in today's world?
Yeah.
It would be new thugs that then get recreational marijuana going, and then what else is there that's been banned? And then maybe you might get the Arctic Circle next time. Yeah? Here's some Arctic, go over there, you'll be good as anything. But they don't do that anymore, so now it's more like, let's play solo. I think lessons learned from that people that want to do something, I mean, that is amazing testament, really, isn't it, for groups of individuals that must be so fucking bad, right? So bad, boys, right? You know, and ladies, I don't know, you know, must be so bad that they're so good at being so bad at building something that's so good. Do you get what I mean? It's and when you see it and all of the liveliness from a distance and everything else, you think, wow, that's pretty impressive considering where it's come from.
Yeah.
And then it makes me then start to question what I've been educated to believe in that. Is it truly all that bad? Now, I'm not saying that every single thug out there, if you want to say that, I don't know how they identify themselves, but you do have some that give them a bad name, right? Some of the more smaller, ain't going to amount to shit types. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Those ones go around running amok. It's kind of really, really piss poor, really. And if it were, it would be the same as any other government, really, wouldn't it? You got some of the really shit ones out there. Really, really shit, right? Yeah, they give it all a bad name, don't they? So yeah, no, I often look at that, and then what you're educated or a type of wooing, you know, smoke from a fire, very obvious, there's the fire, right? But smoke that's being waved around everywhere, right, wafted all the way around, now find the fire. Very hard to track it down when it's mixed in the air everywhere else, isn't it? It's very hard to try and focus in on that, isn't it? So what do you believe? Well, it's coming from over there, I'm telling you, look over there, look over there. And then I start to see that, and then I think, interesting. And then this whole placebo effect as well, that's been rattling around in my mind. Where does it all stem from? This. And then, if corporations aren't listening, why should you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the biggest get out of jail free card, that is, isn't it? I'm just doing what corporations do. Yeah, but that's illegal. Yeah, but I'm just doing what corporations do. Apparently that's illegal, but not if you brand it under a company. TS Hydroponics, you know, I mean, maybe, you know, LTD. You know, so you never know, I might be able to get something branded in that, but it's weird, isn't it? It's very strange. And then is it a fact of placebo? No, perhaps that tablet is a load of shit, but no one wants to admit it because, whoa, oh my god, it's gonna break down the whole empire that we've built here with these fucking tablets. I mean, and I think that what really needs to be looked at is we need more scrutiny in that. Some drugs just don't work. Some drugs just have more side effects than benefits.
Yeah.
And if no one is there regulating any of this shit and saying, you know what, perhaps we're not going to use this one. We're going to try and strive to go better so that we don't have this many side effects. And then perhaps it's that those side effects are so much more bad that someone that does take it and then versus someone that doesn't take it. Well, what happened? Why is it that you feel so much more better then? Well, it's this thing, you see. I just believe that I'm going to feel better by not taking it, and therefore could that be a placebo? And they'll say, well, we give someone just chalk. Well, perhaps you've got the answer inside that chalky tablet then. You've put something in it, and that whatever that something is, how do you not know isn't the new wonder drug?
Yeah.
How do you not know that that compound in there isn't the thing that is helping them, rather than let's just put it down to it's just sugar? Perhaps these people were lacking sugar then. I mean, I've never ever tasted a sweet tablet before. Have you?
No.
Me neither. So again, how do we not know that that isn't got something to do with that? The body was lacking something.
We don't do it.
No. So, say placebo. Is there really such a thing as a placebo effect? Or perhaps these people that were taking it, those people taking that, perhaps that caused something. Perhaps we'll be looking at the drug a little bit more under a bit more scrutiny and saying that perhaps this is shit. What did you add to it? Well, shit ton of E numbers and all of these chemicals. Fuck knows what happens. We just bung these together, you know. So I think it needs to be more scrutiny on that. I think. And then, is it about placebo, or did you go into background check these individuals and to see what types of foods they're eating? Do some eat brand only limited amount of these different chemicals? And one thing is for sure, right, that everyone overlooks, and this pisses me off with society that claims it's intelligent, okay? Chemicals, okay? I'm just going to say this as easy as I possibly can. Chemical reaction, anyone? So if you're eating all cheap brands with all of these weird amount of chemicals in it that you have no idea what the fuck they are, okay, what's this? I don't know, I just wanted to bulk it down. More ping. More money means if I add more shit to this, it's funny to me, it's not funny, but some of the ingredients that have more in it are cheaper than some of the stuff that has less in it is more expensive. Wait, what? And then, what happens if you combine all of these chemicals, plus with that tablet you've just taken, plus with these other chemicals, because that person's income is lower, forcing them to eat all of this chemical shit?
Yeah.
Does that affect a drug by any chance?
Yeah, that could do, couldn't it? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it does, because it's called chemical reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, how does your body get rid of chemicals, may I ask? And then, do these people smoke with, you know, how many? 70 known substances, let's say.
Yeah.
So those 70 chemicals, and then is it lottery on which ones you get per packet? And then how much of those you get? Those chemicals versus these chemicals versus your mouthwash chemicals versus your cheap toothpaste chemicals versus your cheap food, all those chemicals, plus this tablet over a long period of time. Are you sure it's placebo?
And the water you have in water supply you have where you are?
Water supply, and then is it about the types of mold you might be breathing as well? Does any of this, what about the washing powder that you may be using? What about the deodorant that you're using?
Yeah.
What about the makeup that you're using?
Whatever you drink,
Alcohol.
coffee, tea.
Yeah, so all of these chemicals
Lemonade.
then, and then depending on what type of electricity supply you have. All of these things are factors as far as I'm concerned. And the only way to really know is to do a trial with people, but you're going to have to make them all eat the same food.
Yeah.
And then, how long does it take to get these chemicals? Because THC chemical, which is found in marijuana, and not just marijuana, there's quite a few things that have THC in it, or can produce THC. But the most potent one, we'll just stick and keep it simple, that plant. If that takes 3 months to get out of your system to 6 months to get out of your system, how long does it take for any of these other chemicals to get out that no one has any idea what it is? It's a new chemical. How long does it take to get out your system? And then, has there been anyone that's taken any blood? Because I've never heard anyone out of fucking loads of people that I know. And then, through those people are quite gossipers, so they gossip with other people, and they have never heard of anyone ever asking them to take blood for the chemicals that they've taken to find out how long these chemicals stay in the system and how long they stay or come out the system. Someone that quits smoking can still get devastating cancers even 30 years later after quitting.
Yeah.
And some of the chemicals in smoking, and this has only become apparent because of doctors looking into it to find out where most of this is all coming from. But again, you're never going to find it, because someone that just smokes 70 chemicals, let's say, and has a diet of nothing but vegetables, brand new, fresh, organic, and all the rest of it. And then there's the farmers putting on chemicals on your fields. Then there's the type of shite that it's grown in. Then there's the type of hormonogenics that are going into it.
Yeah.
GM, again, when we start basing it on this, and then when they force fruit to grow, it is less sweet.
Yeah.
So if it's less sweet, does it have less nutrients? Can you kill a population by doing this, by forcing something to grow? This is why I don't agree with forceful growing. Again, you know, want to work this shit out before you're on a space craft. And then start forcing all of this food to grow, and it's so much of it is growing, rather than let it be natural. Nothing is natural these days. It's always played by man, because man knows best, right?
Faster, or make it
quicker,
not the freeze.
Bigger, no defaults, no this, no that.
Yeah.
And again, in this, you are losing nutrients. In this, you are losing immunity. In this is what your body has grown accustomed to. For how long? How long has this been going? Well, tell me how old civilization is first. Tell me how old the whole of civilization is. How far back has it gone? Do scientists actually know? So you've been eating natural foods that we know of, back from day dot that we know of. And humans have come around in the last this much compared to this much, and have been playing around with it, and we've seen the spike in many different things.
Yeah.
Some wonderful stuff, right? And did you know what's so dangerous about this? That even healthy people, it just takes one person, so out of the whole world, with many people around the whole entire planet, yes?
Yeah.
It takes one person to contract a illness, sickness, virus, or a bacteria. And they can spread it onto the masses. It just takes one human.
Yeah.
Another one of my favourites is I hear a lot, is there's no way that you can have animal to human contamination or cross-species with bacteria and viral and shit. Oh, really? What's SARS?
Yeah.
What was this bird flu? Hand, foot and mouth? Well, what is all of this shit? And Tamiflu and everything else that went around? What is that? Well, it's because it came from this. Birds kind of did this and that, and then you had to take this, and then because pigs did this, this, and this. But don't worry, everyone. There's no risk of cross-contamination. Come on, look.
Mad cow disease.
Mad cow disease.
Yeah. That then people were affected by it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, let's get on the same page first. Which is it? I'm playing tennis right now.
Yeah, looks like it.
But don't worry. And then if you want to accept that don't worry is good enough, I forgot that the gods were there telling you not to worry about it, because I'm going to tell you something else, right? What does it mean that those bacterial viruses or anything, you mean to tell me that they're not fucking trying?
Yes, they are.
After all, doesn't it want to live?
Yeah.
So therefore, it would be in its best interest to try and work out as many life forms as possible,
Yeah,
right?
mutations, different forms.
How do you not know that
Evolution.
can't bind with animals, but it's trying to bind with you as being a human? Just hasn't worked it out yet. It can see the island, it's over there, we don't know what's X, Y, Z here, but that island over there, we managed to make it in the periodic table. We jumped to the island. Now, what's to say that it's got to work out X, Y, Z before reaching that island, which means you?
Just look at malaria.
Wow. Malaria.
Who spreads it?
Exactly.
Flies, don't they?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it
Or mosquitoes. Mosquitoes bite one person and then go with that blood and bite another person, or bite, or you call it differently, sting, or
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to ask that question. And then if these chemicals take this long, and then after smoking, that after 10 years,
yeah.
then after 15 years, you're less likely to have. That's less likely. That means that they know a little bit more.
Yeah.
Don't want to scare anyone. It sounds better when you say less likely.
Yeah.
But those chemicals,
Uh-huh.
right? And then if we look at mercury or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
how does it take to get that out of your system, if it's even possible?
Don't know.
What chemicals stay in your system for a long amount of time?
I don't.
And what's the best
Sure.
idea ever? Let's keep making more.
Yeah.
Let's keep coming out with more chemicals and then give it to this. It just takes one lot of those chemicals to be in the wrong way, and then that causes a chemical reaction, which is either feeding something.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lot for immune system to do in the modern day, isn't it?
And there are brands of cigarettes, at least in my country, that no longer exist. So what was in them? Who knows? In that tobacco, in those cigarettes that were cheap, and they stopped making them, and then new ones were created, and new names, and people smoked those, and then because they didn't make them, they swapped to this and to that. Who knows what's in them?
So all of these chemical reactions, and then I got to ask another question. If you think that children are not born with this high level of chemicals, I mean, one of the saddest things that I think I've ever understood, but it does happen, it's that babies have to be weaned off of heroin
Yeah.
when they're born.
Mm.
This is something that not anybody ever wants to look into, or really they don't ever want to shine a light on this stuff, because it is horrific to admit that that's a part of society.
Yeah.
If that's the case with heroin, okay, and if I was to do a test on these children, I don't think heroin washes out the system quite as you. I think it's a lifetime. It's in your system. Now I've got to ask a question. That's a chemical.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it shows that we can have this pushed into our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's more, if that chemical stays in you, what chemical reactions do you need to have an adverse reaction to it?
Mm-hmm.
What other chemicals can you mix together?
Yeah.
Chemicals aren't just mixed in a lab somewhere.
Yeah.
The body is the lab.
Yeah. And they will tell you, oh, we tested this chemical, it's safe. But have you tested it with who knows whatever
That's
people
impossible
use as
for
well?
these new companies coming out that are then adding all of these weird and wonderful chemicals that they've just made into a food supply, right?
Yeah.
Are then have no knowledge. If it's a new chemical, you have no knowledge as to what this can have an adverse effect with all the rest of the chemicals that are about. Most intelligent species out there, fucking hell,
Yeah.
will not do this.
Or cleaning products or cosmetics, something you will just touch, you don't have to even eat it. And if you touch it too often, what is it gonna do? How is it gonna absorb in your skin and do something?
Humanity are the only ones that will do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nowhere else is doing this. And even if someone wants to shine light on it, they wouldn't hide it. They would look at that and think, fucking hell. But there again, if you've been educated that this is all fucking normal, quote unquote, that's a hell of a belief system to go knocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And most of the la-di-das will be like, well, it's never going to affect us, is it? Well, now we're going back to the control. So unless you're pre-arranging your marriages, but the last time I checked, weren't you dipping into the gene pool every now and then?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? Love's love, right? Haven't they tried to do this in the past? And then what happens if the chemicals here are different to somewhere in, I don't know, Russia or China or EU or Australia or Britain or America?
Yeah.
And one breeds with one from the other and has a child. What are those chemicals being bound together? Don't worry, your body gets rid of it after. No, it's bollocks. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I just don't buy into that. Then mixed with alcohol, then mixed with this. You know why you don't drink whilst you have antibiotics? Because sometimes it can make the drug non-effective. Another thing, it can increase the side effects. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Some other doctors were saying something else. It depends who you ask, but by and large, I've read with studies that have been done off of others, individuals that have gone in to put in this study, that it increased the side effects.
Hmm.
Because you would have a bad reaction. The alcohol react this way, there's this, la-di-da, this, that, and the other. Then put this onto contraception, oh my days. Then put this onto smoking, and then put this onto cosmetics, then put this onto food that you're eating. And then certain individuals are going to have, you know, like, they're like, I just don't know why this person got the cancer really bad, and this person got it and it went away.
Mm.
What were they eating?
Yeah.
What chemicals did they come into contact with in their life?
Yeah.
What did their family's bloodline? I mean, that's incredibly complicated.
It
When
can
you get...
be, yeah. It can go from really the past or...
Chemical versus chemical versus chemical versus chemical versus chemical death.
Yeah.
So placebo, power of the mind, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think so. That you can believe that you can get yourself better, and then they start going, oh, it must be the power of the mind. Yeah, what?
How about the animals that get tablets for when they get antibiotics or when they need the worms removed or something like that?
Animals never get sick until humans interfere with things.
Mm.
It's the way it is. Humans interfere with the environment. Humans interfere with the water. Humans interfere with this. Humans start interfering with the food that they eat. Humans start interfering with nature. They start GMing it. They just can't leave nothing alone.
Yeah.
And they claim they must understand and have a belief system about their inferior and superior, that they are so given in this world, that they're so much more better than nature, that has spent its whole time evolving to what it is now. And humans just must, a few group of them, must think that they're so much more better than any other fucking evolution.
Yeah, they do.
That they're so much more better than evolution.
Yeah, they do. They believe that there are humans and then there are animals.
Do you know what? It's easier for me in a lab. This is all it boils down to. Ease. Ease. This is what it boils down to. It's so much more easier for us to do it in a lab. Do you know how hard it is to build solar farms? Do you know how hard it is for us to build space farms? Do you know how much money that would cost?
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. This one's easier to throw money at.
Yeah, because...
And get the largest reward back from it without any effort.
Yeah.
I guess we're all lazy in that aspect then, aren't we?
Money goes to pocket instead of...
And this is what we then just decided in modern days, that this is hero, and fast forward it. You know, all the previous... right, so did you know they used to drink mercury? Back in the day, they used to drink mercury. Did you know they used to make arsenic medicine?
They did?
Yes, they did. Right? And you look back and think, that's dumb, right? That's some fuck. Why were they doing that? You're still doing it now. Chemicals now.
Yeah.
You are still doing it.
Lead piping Romans and their waters, their aqueducts, and everywhere lead piping, killing themselves. Oh well. Yeah.
And this person reacted this way, and this person reacted that way. Yeah. We like to make a problem and then have a solution for it. Right,
Okay.
you are.
Yeah.
Because it's weird to me that most tribes, nearly all tribes that you can ever see, look at their generations. We come with the same belief system that people didn't live until they were 40 back in the day. You'd be lucky to make it past you were 40. You're insulting my intelligence. There's these tribes that are about that go 3 to 4 generations. Some of them don't even know how old they are.
Yeah.
But this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 5. Wait, how are they so alive then?
Yeah, they are barely grey. They are not white. Just
They have
some...
a full consciousness that they gain this thing called wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, I go to my grandfather and be like, yo, you got any wisdom? Bless him, he had Alzheimer's, right? But even still, or dementia. It's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one form of dementia.
I mean, now we wouldn't go to our elders for wisdom, would we?
Yeah.
Why not? Well, because
They don't have it anymore.
they don't have it.
Question is if it's like intentionally.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Because if not, you would listen to your elders. You wouldn't listen to your empires.
So you had to make elders just someone who cannot help because they cannot work, they cannot think. You just take care of them because they took care of you.
And some of these tribes are able to carry massive amounts of wood, some of the elders.
Yeah.
They're not even breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
Now you would never be able to do it. Oh, stiff. Oh, this. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
I remember one Afghani girl I met, and she told me, oh, when she was living, she ran away to Canada. Oh, when we were like kids and we were helping our grandma, she was doing this, and that, and we were sweating and we were catching our breath. And she didn't look even tired.
There you are. And now all of this knowing best, all of this forced produce, wrapped in plastic. Oh, there's no flavour to this. If I'm saying that there's no flavour to this piece of fruit, does that mean that there's no nutrients in it?
Probably.
And then when I eat it, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't need to eat it because there's no taste. Without taste, why would I eat it?
It's been forced to be grown fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's causing a problem because it's getting into mice are eating it.
Yeah.
Your pets are eating it.
Yeah.
Birds are beginning to eat it.
Mm.
Anything that is being touched gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And is this deliberate or is it accidental? Is this because the placebo effect is, I'm so intelligent, you believe you're so intelligent, but literally you are not intelligent?
Mm.
Come on, you've got to wake up. I need to wake up.
Yeah. Humans are something, aren't they?
I said, well, what are we going to do about it? It's all there. It's all there in front of you. It's all right there. You can get people in pointless fucking jobs as it is. Yeah, I'm not kidding, right? You get people doing some of the most mundane fucking tasks. I'm just like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you removed the robot here so a person can sit here and do this? Yeah. You mean to tell me that there is a machine that can already do this? Yeah. Right. And then this person is willing to sit here and press this fucking button, which is a placebo, all fucking day. Yeah. My fucking word. Oh. So technically, you've got some invisible string. Well, yeah, Terry, you're taking it a little bit too far. But you've got some invisible strings, and you can make this person think that they're pressing a button that's doing something, but it actually isn't doing anything. That is a pointless job.
Yeah.
It'll be like you. Come with me. And yet these people have money. And then they say that we've got to be able to trust people that we give money to. Oh, fuck me. Have you ever picked up a packet of anything and read the amount of chemicals are in it? Well, yes, we have. We're still trying to figure out how to do something about that. And you mean to tell me that you have to be trustworthy to get a large amount of money in this world, but yet you seem to keep giving it out to these companies? Where did they come from? Well, that was back in the time. Okay, so these new companies then? How did they manage to get money? It must have been luck, right?
Yeah. With their other different chemicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not illegal. That is illegal. Do you not see how the kids are growing up in this world with... And they're just not buying this shit anymore. Not the chemicals I'm on about. They're just not buying this whole... why'd you still eat that? Because it's all I can afford. Yeah, I understand that. That I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
But you know, these people over here are saying that you're still eating that because it's a choice. But if I don't eat that, I won't have anything.
Yeah.
I understand. I do understand.
Hmm.
But yeah, I got people trying to blow smoke up my ass left, right, and centre. That are saying that this is all because of these people want to do it and they're stuck in their prison, you know, keep doing the same thing every day because it's all they know. No, it's because they're forced. There we are, controlled to
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
And this ain't going to wipe out a small amount of population. This is going to end up wiping out a lot of people. Because how many people have been mixed with this? How many people have had kids with this? I mean, those records are pretty shady as it is. I said, oh, you must hate your society. Yeah, I hate this about society. I don't even know how to make that very much more clearer. You know, I happen to see a potential for us all. And yet, this is the belief system you have to try and... You got to break. One pack of food I think I picked up the other day that had... Well, it appeared, right? I remember this with custard. I won't name the brand.
Yeah.
Blue and yellow and red. And, yeah, there was this custard brand that said, we, emphasis on the word, we don't put any chemicals or artificial shit in our products, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they bought this other this other powdered stuff.
Yeah.
So it was all powder, and it's making a custard. Simple custard is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these ingredients is what they got. I then decided to find out where they made these ingredients. When I was speaking to them on the phone, this was, over 11 years ago, probably even more than that, right? I was calling them up, and I was getting all of the ingredients to find out how they were making this stuff. And he said, oh, no, we buy this one. Oh, and we buy this chemical, powder or stuff, right? It was milk powder or something like that. And they were quite forthcoming with that they didn't make any of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just bought it all pre-made, and then they threw all of these ingredients
And
together,
put them
and here
together.
you are, there's a custard, right? So when I got into contact with these other companies, and my word, there were many of them,
Yeah.
and I said to them, so what's your ingredients? E number, chemical, 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 chemical. Then I call back to this other company, the main company that said, we don't put any artificial preservatives or chemicals or shit in our foods. And I started saying to them, but your stuff does have chemicals in it. Yeah, but we don't put it in. Do you get that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrible.
And I was like,
experience.
but that is misleading. No, because we don't add any artificial flavorings, preservatives, E-numbers, additives. We don't add that. But I said, but all of these companies that you're buying from, which I later found out that some of these were actually branches of this company. It was the same company, but given a different name, given a different look. It's still owned by its main company being this one that made the powder anyway, and they were buying it from themselves. But from a former brother-sister company, wink.
Yeah, so they didn't put
They
anything.
were adding in all the artificial shit and then producing it as this powder, and this company gets to claim that they don't add any artificial. And then I found out that in the end, I give up because every company was doing this. Every single company was doing this. And they could put on their packaging, via doing this, free from. We do not put. I was really pissed off with them. Really pissed off to the point where I was just like boycotting the brand after that. That it was absolutely disgusting that you could lie. It was all on the advertising. I just knew something was off with it, right? It made me feel not great. Usually when I eat shit like that, it usually has E's and fucking shit in it.
Yeah.
I swore it had it based on the reaction. And they'll say, well, perhaps that was just a placebo effect, right? I was just believing that it
Placebo.
was. No, it wasn't that placebo effect. No, it was actually the company were purposely doing this. And then I learned that this company was just the mixing company. Basically puts all these other ingredients together. And then when I told them that this other company was adding E numbers and preservatives into stuff, and all of this other stuff, some chemicals I couldn't even, I had to get the other company to read it to me twice and spell it out to me because I couldn't even get my tongue around it. It was like a German word for "this is the road" all crammed together, right? I think that's how Germans.
Yeah, Germans add words together sometimes. Yeah, the pretty long words they have.
It was like reading out a police fucking chase. Alpha Tango Romeo Bravo Charlie Oscar, right? It was just it just went on. In them doing that, I learned some of the phonetic. Is it called the phonetic alphabet? Phonetic. I don't know. Whatever. I don't really care, to be honest. I based on this, them reading it out to me.
Terrible.
And the person I was speaking to on the phone after calling them back, that your product does contain this stuff, but why is it not labelled on there? And I said, this is very dangerous for anyone that's got any allergies. Yeah, but we make sure we know the main ones that cause allergies. Do you know what this chemical is? No. Do you know what this additive is? No. So how do you know that it has never been listed as an allergy? Well, we go for the main ones. And then I was like, well, this is pretty dangerous for people who do have intolerance to certain things or any allergies you're not disclaiming correctly. Yeah, but we check into that. So you do know that then they add artificial stuff to it. Well, the laugh says it all. Man, I when I called back, that went to somebody else, and it went to somebody else, and it went to somebody else, and it got more and more up the chain, really, because of the way that people were talking to you. It was a bit more different. So there was a linguistic change in the tones and the way the wording was delivered. No, it's just like, wow, this is fucking interesting. And if companies are doing that behind the scenes, then again, remind me again about this placebo effect. Because if you're picking up a certain brand and you believe that it is free of everything and you're giving it to your kids or whatnot and everything else like that, you're being duped. And then what else is hidden? Free of GMs and all the rest of it. But this company ain't free of GM. Genetically modified stuff. They're putting genetically modified stuff in it. But this company is not literally putting genetically modified. They know the ingredients that are going into their, let's say, dish. But they're hiding behind third-party companies and different things like that. And then you're following this back as a doctor, let's say, to try and figure out how to stop people getting sick. And then what you'll notice is if you don't think with discernment to ask all those third-party companies, you're not going to get an accurate, let's say, result to your test. Oh yeah, that company, what's that one? Well, let's just check that. Where's nutritional values, all of these things, right? Okay. Right, and this one, all right, and this one, okay, and this one. But if that's it, then you've missed a whole massive amount of the story behind the scenes. So yeah, I just want to get this one off my chest. This is not what I wanted to speak about, but it led on this way, and I'll go with the flow. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Say it twice, maybe one more time. I'll go with the flow. But yeah, so and chemical reactions is one thing I do know. So to have certain amount of chemicals in your body. And they started to learn this when Red Bull was first come about, and someone had eaten certain foods beforehand and then drunk a can of Red Bull, which then may have led to a heart condition. But it was because this person ate this and was doing this and was on this and was on that. And then you know that certain drugs that you take, pharmacy drugs, that if you take other things with it, you might get a little buzz out of it. There was some old Coca-Cola that if you there was an old ingredient that used to be in it after they removed I want to say cocaine, but was it cocaine?
Yeah.
And then they made something that was similar to it, that if you took it with another product, it gave a sort of similar whiz. That was basically, if you drank it on its own, it didn't give that buzz, but if you took a certain other chemical with it, it gave a buzz, a long-lasting one. But it was too dangerous. I believe that it got worked out that it was way too dangerous, and therefore this was basically a careful and then I wonder how much of the population die at the end of each and every single year through unknown causes, which technically I think the causes are chemical reactions gone wrong.
Yeah, medication. I remember that.
Yeah, not from medication, but from the chemicals that they've been eating from cheap brands, and then they take a tablet that's supposed to have these nice side effects to it.
Yeah.
But these nice side effects only come from if you are taking that drug on its own, and you are eating nothing but healthy food.
Yeah.
Without eating those healthy foods, and all the rest of minusing out all the rest of the chemicals, you aren't going to know how that is going to respond. And therefore, if humans, you should be able to, most of across the population, with the exception, you should be able to take the same tablets and get the same response from each and every single medication. After all, we are built very similar.
Yeah.
The internal, external, and diseases being diseases and whatever else it may be should be treatable all exactly the same across the board. Technically, with differentiations in whether we are slightly bigger, slightly smaller, more muscular, more looser, more skin, more bone, right? Based on these types of things, a BMI, let's say. And then there could be whether you are lactose and in that sort of area where you haven't taken that, and perhaps you may have got these derogatives from... derivatives? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Derogatives. I like that. I call them derogatives because certain types of steroids I was reading came from dog derivatives.
Yeah.
There you are. I was reading what the fuck, man? I read this on fish stuff as well, you know, when feeding the fish, and I was like, I know I'm not going to give you any more of these flicks because it comes from fish derivatives derived from fish. So these steroids had something that came from dogs. I don't know, something inside the dog was given something. It had a reaction inside the dog, and then they took whatever that was, which then goes on to help humans. Anyway, so minus all of this, so if you got some derivatives from a cow or something else like that, beef and gelatin that might be from that, and perhaps you don't eat beef, maybe, and you were to eat it, your digestive system might not, depending on how long you haven't eaten it. And then cow's milk, right? Certain places are intolerant to milk because it just hasn't been absorbed enough in the gut for the body to know what to do with it or to even make use of that. Very strange, really, isn't it? So that's interesting. Don't know where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, so all of these different things, if you take a tablet for something and it's got your right size ratio and you're eating a very healthy diet, and everybody is, let's say, in that aspect, providing your size and everything else, your BMI, then there should be technically be a one shoe fits all in that aspect. But there ain't. There isn't. We got some people that will live 20 years, some people live 15 years, some people die the very next week, and all at different levels of this. Some of it speeds it up, some of it slows it down, I think it comes from chemical induced reactions is what I think most deaths are.
There are too many chemicals these days we don't know anything about that can interact together.
Causing a chemical reaction which then might make an adverse effect from it. And the severest end of adverse effect is death. The other one is added side effects. And I mean, if you've got added side effects on top of something that is severe, depending on how severe it is, this would also make antibiotics not work, which is not great because some of these chemicals might feed the very thing that you're trying to fight with the antibiotics. And like I said, it just takes one human for this to go wrong in, and this will lead to a massive extinction on colossal scale, and it will affect the people who did eat it or didn't eat it. That's the type of fire I think that is being played with here. Because the chemical might feed the bacteria as opposed to destroy it in some aspects. It could feed the cancer and create a super cancer. Who knows? The slightest cough, it might mutate. Yeah, I just hope that never does, right? Fucking hell. And then you get this hit and miss as to why some people go on this treatment and it works, and some people go on it and it just doesn't. Change your diet. That's why I reckon I think you should change your diet. If it's not working, change your diet. It's not. I don't think it's got anything to do with the drug itself that you're taking. I think it's got something to do with your diet.
There was this wave in 90s maybe or after, people with cancer who went on, how do you say it when they stop eating?
Fasting, yeah.
Fasting, who went on fasting and took their medications and stuff like that.
had better results.
Some of them, not all of them, but
Yeah, again, then that
yeah.
I would look at that. See, that's very interesting that you're saying that. You see, this is why sometimes I like talking to
That's
a wider
why,
audience.
yeah, that's why other people followed that and tried that because nothing worked and it got worse and worse. So people simply observed what other people tried who had troubles as well with all the medications to get rid of cancer. So they tried this, and some of them,
but more so than normal. More people were surviving than
yeah, but it's hard and not everyone
right.
is
But if
able.
but if that was an
Yeah.
increase of people that were surviving as opposed to normal,
Yeah.
then that would then show me that the other people who didn't survive that had long-lasting adverse effects from a chemical food or chemical that they
Yeah,
had in,
something
and
they
it takes
had.
longer to get out of the
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
And therefore it was probably reacting with
Yeah.
whatever this was there. So that would be,
Yeah.
or also that is something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they didn't have enough time. Yeah.
I think that would be that they would have to knock out that chemical to start with
Yeah.
in order for it to be most effective.
Mm.
You see, there's a chemical reaction that works good,
Yeah.
and probably works too good,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a chemical reaction that works in the negative. It's oh, they say nothing's duality. Man, please. Oh, let's stop with that. It never used to be duality. It is now, okay? When we're talking times of hermaphrodites and stuff like that, yeah, okay, not much duality going on there. It is just to get life to take hold. You could say the same thing in the beginning of the universe. Not much duality really going on. Not much of a mix. It couldn't afford to. It needed to work on what worked in the beginning for guaranteed to get to now. It wasn't going to jump ahead and jump straight into, in the first days of creating a neutrino, supernova, and a massive eggy star, let's say. It's not going to do that in the beginning. It had to take steps. This is what most humans don't understand. And then they're trying to tell you that you can't jump the blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, right, all right then. And humans in the beginning, what life had to be more successful to take hold. What would do it? This, and this way. Some of the things are still left. Evolution can't go forwards nor backwards. Want to bet? And do you want to bet? So in with this, I guess that things can't be jumped. Is what I'm saying. I can't remember what I was going on to say because I'm getting lost on another one.
Yeah,
I need to go. I stopped myself from continuing down that rabbit hole. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Jumping ahead, I'm going to leave this one here because I do want to go on to something else completely different. And plus, the flies are enjoying my meal right now. There's so many bloody flies here. It's no doubt the return of the maggot season. The season of the maggots.
Yeah.
How many years worth of this? Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Do you think you could bring down my vibration any lower? Nice try. No, I was looking in contrast of all the other videos that I did, and then here it just seems very, like they want to bring down your vibration. I think that you should focus in on upping your own. I mean, rather than being fixated on trying to bring somebody else down in order to make yourself look like you're more ahead than anybody else. I think that's very pathetic, really. Yeah, I think it's very sad, really. I think that is, yeah, you're kind of answering to, well, there again, it's amazing what people believe and don't believe, and this whole process here. Wow, so that what you said there is really sticking with me right now. The one where you said that people were fasting and there were results happening. So they must have been on some different, I would be very interested to find out what diets these individuals had. All the way back from the obtuse things that they were eating, let's say the most little and often and now and then. So I'd say if a cancer is getting the best of you then and it's not working, but because that's the thing I did want to talk about was in this is people are behavioral, do the same shit and don't want to change. So they like the same food over and over again and they don't change it. Interesting. And they like the same brands and the same this and the same that. I don't formulate in that. I don't know. I'll hit and miss over some stuff. Sometimes I will and sometimes I won't. I'm not really fussed. In a way, I am and I'm not. Sort of and I'm not and I'm sort of not. Well, that's very weird, isn't it? That's very interesting. And then if you are a brand person, that's interesting. And they want everyone to get into this brand. Be loyal. Oh, my days. I don't give a shit, man. Right? Some people are like, Are you not loyal to Tesco? No, I fucking ain't. So are you loyal to Morrison's then? No, I'm
No.
not. Do you know what I'm loyal to? What's that? When the prices go down.
Yeah.
I ain't going to be giving you my loyalty. You give me yours.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not my loyalty, it's your loyalty. And therefore, I don't want loyalty, I want unity. That we're both here to look after each other. Not one way and not the other. Do you get what I mean? We'd be looking after one another.
Yeah. Prices and accessibility where it is.
What would be the best loyalty card in the world? One that was universal, that could be used in all shops.
Yeah. And then there would be more competition for prices because otherwise you go to a different shop if you know something was cheaper there.
But loyalty? You make this sound like a hierarchy, which it is inside shops. Cheap brands, loads of chemicals, or expensive brands, not so many chemicals, or perhaps there are, but we're not telling you on the packet which ones there are.
Yeah.
Here's the ones we forced to grow. Here's the ones we didn't. So, and anyway, when we're stuck in that type of, you know, and then people will say, "Oh, I thought you all said you would never stop eating these things."
Huh?
Wait, hypocrite first.
Yeah, yeah. It's in Czech Republic like organic vegetables, usual vegetables, organic fruit, usual food, and organic is usually like one time the price than the other one that was
And
influenced in
are you sure
variety
it's
of
organic?
ways. Yeah, it looks usually
Right, but no, nothing can look organic. Right, let me give you an example of how I
ugly.
can read this.
It doesn't have perfect shape. It tastes good.
Organic. Let me give you an example, right? I was once on this. Never mind. I'm not going to say where I got the info from, right? So I was watching this process happen,
Yeah.
where let's say that they went and brought up a load of carrots from the same field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just one strip was perhaps going to be organic, right? It wasn't. They went through all of the stuff that was now coming on a conveyor belt,
Yeah.
and they were picking out all of the big carrots.
Yeah.
These were going on another conveyor belt, and all the ones that looked odds and sods were going on something else, right? They were going into but they were taking off all of the ones that were a certain size and a certain fatness,
Yeah.
and they got put over there,
Yeah.
and all the wibbly ones went that way.
Yeah.
They were all grown on the same field. Just that, like most seeds.
So
right,
which
unless
ones were organic?
the ones that were big?
No.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. The
Yeah,
ones that
I
were big,
understand what
all the ones
they
that
don't
were
look
big
like that.
and
Yeah.
looked great, and and also these ones got washed. These ones didn't. These ones still had the heads on them. These ones didn't. These ones got them all chopped off. The big ones were labelled as organic, therefore could be sold for a lot more for a lot less. But they weren't. They were grown in the same field, same shit, same solution, same spray, same chemicals. Nothing was any different. And then tell me, have you ever gone past any farmer's field around here and noticed that one's organic and one ain't? And then, should you be able to tell a difference between organic and non-organic?
I don't know. They
Well, one
always...
field must be wrapped completely up with cellophane somewhere, and no chemicals are being sprayed anywhere, and even in the fields next to it, right? And there must be a difference in the amount of shit they rub on the floor.
Yeah.
But there isn't. So what's organic?
They always said that they were certifying it and that it was grown somewhere and they were looking at it. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying how you find it in the shop. And in Czech Republic, it would be the opposite way. The unusual shapes and whatever would be organic because that's how they used to grow. And the perfect ones would be non-organic because they are all the same.
Oh my God, humans that sit around a TV and have never grown anything in their lives, right? That's why when I make the joke of when I pick a berry off the same plant, the small ones are no frills, and the big ones, that's organic, that one is. Oh, gonna have a no frills one now. Yeah, that one was cheap. Have you ever looked out at nature and gone through all the forests everywhere around the world and gone, let's go to Siberia.
Yes, strawberries.
Look, that's an organic birch tree. That's organic. This one here in Britain, no frills. The one over there in America, well, that one's sort of in between. And then we're going to go and find an organic pine tree. Which one is the organic pine tree? I mean, this one over here is pretty big. So America only has one organic tree. What would that be? Giant redwood. Africa only has one organic tree, right? The blood tree. It's got a fancy name, but I'm going to call it that. And then to go to these blood trees and think, right, which one's the biggest? Why? Well, because we'll say that one's organic. The rest were, you know, just made sort of thing, you know. Do you ever? Does anyone ever understand how seeds work in nature? Oh yeah, this stinging nettle. Oh, that's pretty big. That must be organic. This one over here, slightly smaller. It's got more leaves than this one. This one's more spread out. This one looks neat and tidy. I'm going to put a bow on this one. Why are you going to put a bow on it? All the ones that got bows on, they're organic.
You know, my great uncle and my dad always sprayed the trees, the apple trees anyway. So the apples technically wouldn't be considered even organic, but they were from the garden, and you sprayed it when there was before it flowered or what, I don't know.
I don't understand what the need for chemicals is on spraying trees and everything else, right? What is it, to repel a type of
some
critter?
insects. Yeah.
Okay, so every critic out there, or critter, has a yin and yang, right? So you'll find, like, this is what I don't understand. I really don't understand it. So they'll go spraying it with all chemicals, going, it's the only thing that works. That's bollocks, mate. No, it's the only thing that works, you know, me pretending to be a tractor for a second. And, you know, they go and spray it with all of this stuff. And it's like, what are you trying to get rid of? This bug. And this one. And this one. Yeah, but it also kills bees, birds, bats, bears, and anything else that walks through here. Humans and all. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't go in the field, I think. You know, it's again, running into this chemical theme. If you find the type of bug that you're trying to repel or get rid of, let's say, you can repel it by using another crop.
Yeah, I know that.
By grinding up another crop, which is natural, organic, on top of organic. And then you can spray it with that.
Yeah, I know that.
And that bug is like, I'm not sure I like this stuff, you know?
Yeah, that
That's
smells
really
or
bad,
something
really,
that I'm
really
not.
bad.
Yeah, I know.
When to humans, we're like, well, we like both.
Yeah, and humans, when they were spraying DDT everywhere on the crops and everything to kill bugs, and they killed themselves as well because it's so poisonous.
Yes, because it's far easier to throw money at a scientist to come up with a solution like that, mass produce a chemical that then gets into the environment, destroys the environment, gets into all the rivers, gets into the ditches, gets underneath your house, in your gardens. Oh my
And then
days.
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It's alright, it went inert. Name me a chemical that really technically goes inert. Oh, this one. Not sure. Why do people have to be weaned off of certain stuff, and then why is it always registerable inside their blood? That's interesting to me. I find this very fascinating. And yeah, it would take more time to grow something else in preparation, to grind this up, and then sprinkle this across the field, which is far more organic than anything else. And what's more, when this goes to rot into the soil, it'll actually break down and feed the very thing that you get double dose there. It acts as a repellent and a fertilizer all in one.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you got? Or happiness.
Yeah.
Less reliant on chemical.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. I find that very interesting. That's very weird. You ever known to grow certain plants with other plants in order to repel the bugs off of one?
Yeah. You should put them together.
Yeah.
If you know which they are, you grow them together in one lot. Maybe some of them around. You experiment and you find the best way how to put them. Yeah.
Because these ones kind of have a natural repellent to them.
Yeah.
It's not that the critter doesn't like that plant. I mean, if it could get to it, it would gnash into it, no problem. But it releases a natural repellent.
Something that they do not like it.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll just keep using chemicals. It's weird. I mean, I just find this all very weird, and then it's like, can you imagine if ever humans went extinct? You would write off the archive in a light signature of the species that killed themselves.
Yeah. That's what you
Well,
want.
anyway, slow form of suicide is highly accepted in
Yeah,
this
it
world.
is, isn't it? Alcohol and smoking, and yeah, it is.
And then what's the knock-on effect? Well, we don't know. But tooth decay is because of people eating sweets, right? Cancer is coming up because of people's diets, right? This is happening here on the world because of this. All the fish in the rivers are dying because of that. So why didn't it before then?
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it? Absolutely fucking strange, all of this, and how normal it is, and how accepted it is. Like, stupidity is normalized.
It is.
Oh well, gonna leave this one here. Gonna leave it here. It's not where I wanted to go, but still, I'll go with the flow.
Okay.
Fourth time.